right. Good afternoon, everyone. This is your host, Louis George Walker, coming to you live and in living color from KUAW Radio. This is the BFTAA and more show. Yes, this is the KUAW, which stands for Knowledge, Understanding, and Wisdom, and is a partnership between the WW Boys Center and the Black Family Technology Awareness Association. Coming together to form this radio station, Knowledge, Understanding, and Wisdom, known as KUAW Radio. So yeah, we're going to sit back and bring you a little bit of information, technology things, things happening in the community and in the world of technology. So just sit back and relax. I'm on for 45 minutes. We're trying to entertain you a little bit of we're going to talk about what's going on with NASA, get a little bit of information from them. We're going to go over KUAW event that just happened, and we're coming into this new year. This is the first broadcast of the BFTAA, and we're going to talk about 2020. So 2020, we're trying to break in our new studio and get things fixed up and ready to go so that you can see us better, hear us better. And that's what we're working on right now. We're coming a little hot. All right. Excuse me. Yes. So, yeah, we're going to be broadcasting here live. This is located at 4510 East Linwood Boulevard in Kansas City, Missouri. This is Kansas City's global community radio station. We're an internet radio station, so you can pick us up on all the internet sites. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter right now. We also have an audio side, which is on our webpage, www.kuaw.org. You also can pick us up on the TuneIn app. Just search for KUAW on Get Me Radio, which puts us on the Fire Stick and Roku and Apple TV. Search KUAW on those sites. Also, you can get us on online radio box, on Radio Garden, and on mytuner.com. So we're on a few different sites to make it easy for you to find KUAW. Go into your search bar and type KUAW Radio, and you'll see us pop up a lot of different ways. You can listen to us live when we're doing these live broadcasts, but you can also pick us up 24 hours a day on our audio side. So when you go to TuneIn app and all of those, we're on 24 hours a day. We have jazz, smooth jazz, we have some old school music, we've got gospel, we've got the blues. So we've got a lot of things going on, some R&B, got some new stuff that I was listening, my brother turned me on to, and I'll be getting some of that on here in just a few days. I got to get some more CDs, well not CDs, some downloads. We don't do the CDs anymore, so we'll bring that in. But I hope you had a very good Christmas, Kwanzaa, and New Year. That we've ended out the year, and now we're turning into a new year. We've got new plans, we've got new things to do, and the struggle keeps going. We got to keep moving forward. We can't rest. We can't stop. We can rest a little bit, but you have to get back in the fight and keep going with it. So, what we do at the Black Family Technology Awareness Association is to get families and youth involved in technology. And we have a robotics team here that we've been bringing kids back together in person, trying to be safe about it, but we're trying to get some hands-on so that the kids can get the benefit of working with adults with role models that they can start looking up to and seeing what the future holds for them. So we have some professional people that work with our kids on robotics, but they're also good mentors. So the robotics team has started back up. If you want to get your child involved in our robotics program, we'll do robotics here on Saturdays from 12:30 to 2:30. That's at 4510 East Linwood Boulevard. You can enroll your child. We're going to take 2 or 3 more kids into this robotics program. It's for children and young adults, well, not young adults, I guess that middle school and high school students. So we take them from the 6th grade through the 12th grade right now. We don't have our Lego program started back up for the real young, but the 6th grade through the 8th grade, we do encourage you to get your kids vaccinated if they're coming. We require them to wear masks while they're here, and all of the people that are working with them have been vaccinated. I've had my booster on top of that, so we're trying to be safe and not spread anything, but we do want to work with the kids one-on-one. So yeah, that is a great thing. So as we get to talking about technology and how we want to take our kids into it, one of the things that we have is we show you a lot that goes on at NASA, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. So we do some regular things, but now this is a new year, so this week in NASA, well, they took the week off last week, so they can't tell you what they did last week in NASA. We'll bring them back next week. The same with our Space to Ground, because they give us weekly updates, but because of the holidays, we didn't get weekly updates from them. But don't fear, we still have some information for you today. So as we go to our NASA site right now, we're going to do a little bit about what you can see in the night sky, and then we're also going to show you something that launched just before Christmas, the James Webb telescope. So we're going to talk about those two things right now. So let's see what's going on up in the sky, and then we'll go into the James Webb telescope. I believe I got them queued up right. The James Webb telescope. Okay. So we're going to talk about those two things right now. So let's see what's going on up in the sky, and then we'll go into the James Webb telescope. I believe I got them queued up right. The James Webb telescope.
What's up for January? New year, new moon, midnight meteors, Mars rises. January begins with a new moon on the 2nd, and that means the first week of the month is ideal for stargazing, because the few days before and after the new moon are the darkest. Head outside around 8 or 9 p.m. all week and look southward to be dazzled by all the bright stars of the winter circle, along with the Pleiades and Orion. The quadranted meteor shower peaks through the moon in the darkest and the morning. Head outside around 8 or 9. This tends to be one of the better signs, dazzled by the bright stars of the winter circle, along with the Pleiades. Peak coincides with the moon, making for great meteor shower peaks through the moon in the darkest and the morning. Head outside around 8 or 9. This tends to be one of the better signs, best quadranted meteor shower peaks through the winter circle, along with the Pleiades. Peak coincides with the moon, making for great meteor shower peaks through the moon in the darkest and the morning. Head outside around 8 or 9. This tends to be one of the better signs, best quadranted meteor shower peaks through the winter circle, along with
All right, that doesn't sound good. Got some technical difficulties going on here. I'll have to see why come. I could hear that when I was practicing earlier. I tell you, when you get ready to go live, there's always another little problem that'll pop up. Let's see if I can figure out what was going on so that we can move forward. But that is the... When I was practicing earlier, that's one of the things that we're trying to work out now is a lot of the little bugs that happen when we switch to some of the different shows that we want to see. Let's see if we can get this out better now. Try it one more time.
What's up for January? New year, new moon, meteors, and Mars rises. January begins with a new moon on the 2nd, and that means the first week of the month is ideal for stargazing because the few days before and after the new moon are the darkest. Head outside around 8 or 9 p.m. all week and look southward to be dazzled by all the bright stars of the winter circle, along with the Pleiades and Orion. The quadranted meteor shower peaks on the night of January 2nd and the morning of the 3rd. This tends to be one of the better meteor showers of the year and often produces a number of bright meteors called fireballs. This year, the peak coincides with the new moon, making for great viewing conditions provided the skies are clear. You should be able to see a few meteors on the couple of nights before and after as well. For the best quadranted meteor viewing, find a dark location away from bright city lights, point your feet roughly toward the northeast, and look up. The meteors appear to radiate from the constellation Boötes, which includes the bright star Arcturus, but they can appear anywhere in the sky. Generally, the best viewing will be after midnight once Boötes rises above your local horizon. The source of the quadrantids is thought to be the asteroid 2003 EH1, which might actually be an extinct comet. So start off your new year by catching a few shooting stars after midnight on January 3rd. Finally, a couple of highlights at dusk and dawn. On January 5th, look to the southwest after sunset to find the crescent moon in a close pairing with brilliant Jupiter. The two will be only about 4 degrees apart, which should make them appear together through most binoculars. Then at the end of the month, on January 29th, if you happen to be up early, you can catch sight of the moon near the red planet. Joining the pair in the southeastern sky will be Venus. Having left the evening skies last month, Venus is now rising before the sun as the morning star. Now, Mars is slowly returning to view after passing behind the sun over the past few months. In fact, NASA stops communicating with our spacecraft at Mars for about 2 weeks every 2 years when the planet is directly opposite the sun. That event, called solar conjunction, took place back in October. Mars will continue to brighten and climb higher over the next few months, where it'll have super close conjunctions with Saturn and Jupiter, which we'll tell you about in future videos, so stay tuned. Here are the phases of the moon for January. Stay up to date with all of NASA's missions to explore the solar system and beyond at nasa.gov. I'm Preston Dykes from NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, and that's what's up for this month. What's up for December? Your early evening highlights, a chance to catch a comet, and the
As you see what's happening in the skies around us, so it's always good to kind of be able to check that out. Want to thank you guys for bearing with me as I go through showing these videos and trying to make sure that the audio comes up right on them. Not always sure if you're hearing me clear. I got it in my headset that sounds okay, but I know just a second ago it was a little bit more disjointed. So we're going to get it together. We got another video that we're going to try and run right now. We'll see if we can make this video run just a little bit smoother for you. So, hey, you can go ahead and write me or put a note in Facebook if you didn't hear it good, things like that. Because I'd like to know how you're doing. I'm not seeing right now how the Facebook is looking. I can't look at that. Or what you're hearing right now. So let me know. I'd appreciate it. Let me know if you heard two things, if there was an echo in there, things like that, because that can help us to improve the sound that we're putting out. So we're going to go to the next video right now, and this is about the James Webb Telescope. So stay tuned. We've got some more coming in from NASA.
In 2021, we touched down on Mars, then reached new heights on the red planet. We also made progress preparing for a flight test around the moon. And we had a very busy year in low Earth orbit, exploring other deep space destinations, addressing climate change here on our home planet, testing technologies for next-generation aircraft, and much more. Here's a look back at those and other things we did this year at NASA. There were plenty of developments in 2021 with existing and future missions designed to explore our solar system and beyond.
Touchdown confirmed. Perseverance safely on the surface of Mars.
The Perseverance rover landed on Mars in February and later collected its first rock core sample, which could be retrieved and returned to Earth by a future mission. While the Ingenuity helicopter, a technology demonstration on that mission, became the first aircraft to make a powered, controlled flight on another planet. We completed testing of the James Webb Space Telescope and sent it to its launch site in French Guiana. The wide array of science missions we sent to space included the first mission to study the polarization of X-rays, the first spacecraft to visit Jupiter's Trojan asteroids, and our first planetary defense test mission. Our Chandra X-ray Observatory may have detected signs of a planet crossing in front of a star outside of our Milky Way galaxy for the first time. While our Parker Solar Probe provided surprising views of Venus during a close flyby and became the first spacecraft in history to touch the Sun, flying through and sampling the environment in the Sun's upper atmosphere. And the Transiting Exoplanet Survey Satellite, or TESS, helped discover a trio of hot worlds larger than Earth orbiting a much younger version of our Sun. Some new but familiar faces took on leadership roles at the agency. The Biden-Harris administration chose former Senator and Space Shuttle payload specialist Bill Nelson and former astronaut and Space Shuttle commander Pam Melroy as NASA's newest administrator and deputy administrator, respectively. Some of our work in 2021 reflected the Biden-Harris administration's commitment to addressing climate change and its effect on our home planet, something NASA is uniquely positioned to do. We announced our Earth System Observatory, a new set of missions to help guide efforts related to climate change, disaster mitigation, fighting forest fires, and improving real-time agricultural processes.
And liftoff. Liftoff of an Atlas V rocket and Landsat 9.
We partnered with the U.S. Geological Survey to launch the Landsat 9 satellite, built to continue the program's 50-year track record of monitoring the planet's changing landscapes. Several weeks later, Vice President Kamala Harris visited the agency as we unveiled the satellite's first images. NASA conducted and participated in a series of climate change studies related to high tide floods and Earth's energy imbalance and energy budget.
This animation shows.
As part of a global response to climate change, we participated in the UN Climate Change Conference. We captured data with a specialized instrument on the space station to help fight forest fires in the western U.S. We also coordinated with researchers to develop dashboards on the spread and effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, including tracking any changes to worldwide air pollution. And we launched an online platform called OpenET to help farmers and water managers in 17 western U.S. states accelerate improvements and innovations in water management. 2021 was the busiest year for human spaceflight at the International Space Station in a decade. It also marked the start of the 21st straight year of humans living and working in space. The splashdown of our SpaceX Crew 1 mission marked the completion of the first operational commercial crew flight to the station and the first nighttime splashdown of a U.S. crewed spacecraft since Apollo 8 in 1968.
And liftoff. Godspeed, Discovery, and Crew 2.
Our SpaceX Crew 2 mission followed that. It was the first commercial crew mission to fly 2 international partners and spent a record 199 days in space. And in November, NASA's SpaceX Crew 3 mission arrived at the space station for a planned 6-month scientific research mission. Astronauts and cosmonauts completed 13 spacewalks outside the space station, the most in a year since 2010. With no slowdown to human spaceflight in sight, we introduced 10 new astronaut candidates in early December. We also accepted applications for the next class of flight directors and announced plans for the agency's first 2 private astronaut missions to the International Space Station. Cargo missions flown to the space station by our commercial partners delivered more than 33,000 pounds of science, tools, and critical supplies, and returned thousands of pounds of research and equipment to Earth. And we signed agreements with 3 companies to develop early concepts of commercial destinations as part of our efforts to enable a robust American-led commercial economy in low Earth orbit. We made significant progress in 2021 preparing for the Artemis 1 integrated flight test around the Moon next year. Engineers at our Kennedy Space Center finished installing and testing components and systems for the Orion spacecraft to make sure it is ready for Artemis 1. Meanwhile, teams at our Stennis Space Center completed the 8-part Green Run test campaign with the Space Launch System, or SLS, rocket's core stage. There was also work in 2021 toward future Artemis missions to the Moon with astronauts. We delivered a key piece of Artemis 2 flight hardware to Florida, completed the welding of another major piece of hardware for the mission, and conducted a series of water impact testing with a test version of Orion. We partnered with SpaceX to continue development of the first commercial human lunar lander, Through Artemis, we plan to land the first woman and first person of color on the moon. Working with commercial partners, we completed the first propulsion system ground tests with the power and propulsion element for Gateway. Also, Japan became the third nation to support development of the lunar outpost. And the lunar landing site for our Viper robotic rover was selected, a region just outside the western edge of Nobile crater at the moon's south pole. Viper will be delivered to the moon in 2023 through our Commercial Lunar Payload Services Initiative, or CLPS, part of Artemis. We advanced space technology in 2021 with new concepts to help drive space exploration and benefit life on Earth. Our laser communications relay demonstration was launched to highlight the next era of space communications. We teamed with the Department of Energy to advance nuclear spacecraft propulsion technologies and fission surface power concepts to boost future space exploration. An onboard suite of cutting-edge technology helped the Perseverance rover land safely on Mars, provide its first weather report, and produce oxygen on the red planet for the first time. And our Deep Space Atomic Clock concluded a successful 2-year mission to advance precise timekeeping in space. We continued our aeronautics research efforts this year to validate unique airframe design technologies for more quiet, safe, and efficient flight on next-generation aircraft. We reached several milestones in assembly of our X-59 quiet supersonic technology aircraft and removed the experimental airplane from its external construction supports. Meanwhile, we completed high-voltage testing on our all-electric X-57 Maxwell aircraft. We conducted wind tunnel testing with a full-scale Concept X-plane, the centerpiece of a national partnership with industry, academia, and other agencies to achieve net zero emissions in aviation by 2050. We wrapped up our Airspace Technology Demonstration 2 project after 6 years of successful research into reducing flight delays, streamlining airport operations, and curbing emissions. We conducted flight tests with an all-electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft to collect data critical to our Advanced Air Mobility National Campaign. And a wildfire management workshop NASA hosted demonstrated how emergency responders can fight fires more safely and effectively using NASA technology. We launched our Mission Equity Initiative in 2021 as part of a federal government effort to support historically underserved and underrepresented communities. Our headquarters building in Washington was named after Mary W. Jackson, the first African-American female engineer at NASA. She was part of a group of women whose work was critical to sending the first Americans to space. And students who are deaf, blind, hearing, and visually impaired connected with astronauts aboard the space station during an in-flight event to promote inclusion in space. There were plenty of opportunities in 2021 for students to engage in NASA STEM-related activities. NASA collaborated with future engineers to create the Artemis Moon Pod Essay Contest, in which nearly 14,000 students from every state in the country participated. Our Mission to Mars Student Challenge demonstrated how science, math, and creativity are used to design, build, launch, and land a Mars mission. We published First Woman, the agency's first digital interactive graphic novel in English and Spanish. Student teams designed and launched climate remote sensing and space exploration experiments on suborbital rockets and high-altitude balloons. And the agency awarded funding to minority-serving institutions to study our home planet, develop space technology, and expand participation in science, technology, engineering, and math fields. When all is said and done, the underlying reason we do what we do, from advancing space exploration to making groundbreaking scientific and technical discoveries, to monitoring the health of our planet, to developing innovative modes of transportation, is to benefit you. Those are some of the highlights from what NASA did in 2021. For more details, visit nasa.gov/2021. Thanks for watching. Please have a safe, healthy, and happy holiday season, and we look forward to sharing more NASA highlights with you in 2022.
All right. So that was what was going on. I didn't want to show you that. You may have saw that last week, but it's kind of good sometime to recap what you've already seen. That was the end of the year program from NASA. So we'll come back to you in a minute with a little bit more of what's going on at NASA. But since I ran that and that took up a little bit of the time, I want to go into one of the other things. So let me get this segment queued up and want to talk about KUAW. KUAW just completed Sunday was the last day of KUAW. For those of you that don't know, KUAW is a celebration that happens at the end of the year. It's an African American celebration that was started in the 1960s by Dr. Karinga, and it's about to bring the people together, to celebrate the end of the year, to bring communities together, families together. And it's not a religion, it's not a movement of destabilizing anybody or any other group. It's about bringing African Americans, not just African Americans, but the whole African diaspora together. You know, so that's what KUAW is about. If you didn't attend the events, they had a citywide KUAW celebration at the Gym Theater. And it was very nice. It was really great. The Gym Theater down on 18th and Vine, well, between 18th and Vine and Highland. It's a fantastic venue. So it was good to be in the Gym Theater. We saw some dance. We saw some musicians. It was a good time, and we saw community coming together and talking about what we need to do. One of the foundations of KUAW are the 7 principles, or what they call the Nguzo Saba. So when Dr. Karinga created the celebration, he wanted to reflect the best qualities and characteristics of the first fruits of harvest festivals that were celebrated throughout Africa. So it's first fruit, sort of like a Thanksgiving type of thing. It was these qualities that established the Nguzo Saba, or 7 principles of KUAW. You know, and a principle basically is, you know, when you say it's a principle, so it's not religious. A principle is a proposition or value that is a guide for behavior or evaluation. In law, it is a rule that has to be, or usually is to be followed. It can be desirably followed, or it can be an inevitable consequence of something, such as the laws observed in nature or the way that a system is constructed. So that's what these principles are. It's working together. It's something to have to kind of work with as a community. Now, the 7 principles are umoja, which means unity. Success starts with unity, unity of the family, community, nation, and race. Then it's kujichagulia, self-determination, to be responsible for ourselves, to create our own destiny, to create your own destiny. Those are the things that it's about. Ujima is the 3rd principle, collective work and responsibility, to build and maintain your community together, to work together to help one another within your community. Then the 4th principle is Ujamaa, collective economics, to build, maintain, and support our own stores, establishments, and businesses. The 5th principle is Nia, purpose, to restore African American people to their traditional greatness, to be responsible to those who came before, our ancestors, and to those who will follow, our descendants. The 6th principle is KUAW, creativity, using creativity and imagination to make your communities better than what you inherit. And the last principle is Imani, faith, believing in our people, our families, our educators, our leaders, and the righteousness of the African American struggle. So that's what KUAW is about. I know some people say, well, it's made up. It's just that, well, most of our holidays are made up. I mean, we create holidays. That's what man has been doing since time began, is creating holidays. Thanksgiving was a made-up holiday. All of those type of things that we celebrate are made up. President's Day, 4th of July, they're made-up holidays. So Kwanzaa is something that sets some principles that we not only want to practice during the end of the year, but something we should practice all year long and come together at the end of the year to celebrate what we've been doing collectively, what we've been doing with our faith, what we have been doing with our creativity, with our shared economics. So we're going to talk about that throughout the year, the different principles and things that come into that we need to be doing, because it's not that Kwanzaa should be done for 7 days between Christmas and January the 1st, but that we should have principles that we use all throughout the year. And that's one thing that we want to do, and we want to be intentional about doing it, not accidentally or having to think about it at the end of the year. Well, what did I do? No, we need to be intentional about the things that we're doing, about all of the principles. So I'll be going over those at different times throughout the year so that we can work on them, so that we can bring them to the forefront of our mind. But that was Kwanzaa, and if you missed it, you missed a good time. And you can celebrate Kwanzaa at home. You don't have to celebrate it with a big group. Here in Kansas City, there's a citywide celebration, but Kwanzaa is a time for families or small gatherings or groups to celebrate. So you don't have to go to a big event out. You can get your family together at home. You can get your extended family together and have a Kwanzaa celebration. You can get friends together and have a Kwanzaa celebration and talk about the principles and the things that we'll do as we go forward. So Kwanzaa is not something that has to be done in a big crowd. It can be, or it can be done in a small, intimate setting. So celebrate Kwanzaa as you go forward. I'll tell you, we got to see the A-flat orchestra was down there one night, and the young people were fantastic. We posted that some of their concert on KUAW. So if you go to the KUAW Facebook page, you'll see that we did some live broadcasts from there of the kids as they were performing. So go to our Facebook page and check out the A-flat orchestra. Also, the Alvin Ailey, the youth dancers for Alvin Ailey, or Friends of Alvin Ailey's, came in and did performances. And they're there every year. Or every year that I've been going to Kwanzaa. I don't know how many years. This was their 40th year of doing the citywide Kwanzaa celebration in Kansas City, and I think the artistic director said this was their 20th time or 24th time. I don't know exactly, but they've been coming to Kwanzaa and doing a performance regularly, and it was great. They also are having a performance at the Nelson Art Gallery, so you need to check with the Friends of Alvin Ailey and find out when that is, because these young people, they work real hard, and they were performing some real nice dance, real nice routines and stuff. So be sure and check them out and support them. The same with the A-flat orchestra. Mr. Daryl Chamberlain started that orchestra by buying used instruments out of his own pocket and creating something here in Kansas City for youth to get exposed to music, especially after a lot of music was taken out of the schools. So he's really done a great job with that, and I think our hat should go off to him. So remember Kwanzaa, and not just as a pastime, but as a thing that we want to live every day. Thank you. Now, as we move forward, I was going through the news as we talk about technology and things that go on in technology, and it really kind of got my interest since the Black Family Technology Awareness Association is a nonprofit, and we deal in technology. So a lot of times different nonprofits, we kind of work together, or there's sometimes that you meet, there's events that you go to. So a lot of nonprofits know each other. When you go out to things at the Kaufman or different places, you'll run into other people that you've run into for years. I know Esteem Village and the coding program that's going on, We Code KC, and Ina Montgomery's and her group. But we run into a lot of those each other as we're out and about, and we know each other. So when I saw this about a nonprofit, I wanted to check it out. But everybody knows about Black Girls Code. Black Girls Code's real popular group that started in 2011. and they've been going through some changes. They've grown exponentially. They had a lot of support. You saw them on the news and in a lot of magazine articles. And Miss Kimberly Bryant was the founder of Black Girls Code. She created the organization. Well, the news came out just before Christmas, about 3 days before Christmas. Her Christmas gift was Kimberly Bryant woke up in the Bay Area, in her Bay Area home early Tuesday morning to an email from her board announcing that she would no longer be serving as executive director of Black Girls Code. Yes, she's out. She was fired. Or not fired, I won't say that, but she's on leave. The organization she spent the last decade building in the name of creating opportunities for thousands of black girls in tech, and features in publications like Fast Company, The Business Insiders, and others. She's been, Black Enterprise, all of the magazines have done articles on her and stories on the news. It would no longer be under her purview. So it's 3 days before Christmas, and you wake up to discover the organization you created and built from the ground up has been taken away by a rogue board with no notification, is what Brian wrote on Twitter. Effective immediately, an interim executive director was appointed by the board to manage day-to-day activities of the organization. So when she got it, it was like, this is it. The notice threw many within the black tech ecosystem off balance. Just days before Christmas, Bryant's ousting from her role brought forth a fiery Twitter discussion on board governance and fairness, as many prominent black women in tech expressed their dissent. Now let's see if we've got, just as we're talking about her on here, let's see, there we go. Yeah, there's a picture of Miss Kimberly Bryant. She found it. Bryant, a figurehead of the organization she founded in 2011, has successfully built up Black Girls Code to an over $3 million annual operating budget. All right, $3 million, serving over 20,000 young black girls from ages 7 to 17 across 15 chapters across the country. According to a statement from the Black Girls Code Board obtained by The Plug, and this story was from The Plug, Ms. Cheryl Dorsey wrote it. The board notes that Bryant remains on staff while serious allegations of workplace impropriety are being investigated. Details on these improprieties were not disclosed. The board of directors is committed to the long-term health, stability, and viability of this organization, the statement said. On behalf of the young women we are honored to serve, we look forward to building on the foundation established by Ms. Bryant and creating a brighter future for millions of black girls. A request for comment from Bryant on these allegations went unanswered. So Cheryl Dorsey, and she has a publication that's on the web called The Plug, that's been on, she's one of the founders. She wrote this story. It says that they're accusing her of workplace improprieties. So that could be a lot of things. Sometimes workplace improprieties can come from sexual harassment. They can come from dealing unfairly with subordinates, things like that. So we don't know if it's a small thing or something that had been ongoing. I read one article said that the board had started investigating this back in October. So we don't know what the allegations are right now, but we do know that she is no longer the director of the organization. And she had just this is not just, but this board that she has was announced in 2018, that she built a 10-person board, or there was a 10-person board that was selected to help her run this business. Or this organization. So the board now, as in her words, says is a renegade board, but we don't know what the whole story is. We don't want to jump to conclusions, but we do know that she is no longer out. Now, you wonder, here is the board that was announced. Let me get this up here. That's the board of directors. And they have some Kansas City connections and stuff. One of the members of the board of Black Girls Code is Mr. Sherman Whites, director of the UN Marion Kaufman Foundation. So he manages philanthropic investments in K through 12 education, including emerging portfolios related to innovation and community ownership. So that's one of the board members, and all of the board members there. So it's not that you want to bring in something and say, well, they brought in a white board. Well, no, it's not. Looks like there may be mostly people of color that's on the board, and it looks very diverse. There are a lot of women on the board. So we don't know what's going on. Their board includes people, Jesse Woodley Wilson, CEO and president of Dreambox Learning, Heather Hiles, chairman and CEO of Eminent Equity, Stacy Brown Philpott, CEO of Task Record, Sebastian Tavu, technologist, entrepreneur, and curious mind, Lauren Olivia Ruffin, Chief External Relations Officer at Fractured Atlas, Julia Collins, co-founder and president of Zoom, and Dr. Robert Simmons, CEO of See Forever Foundation and the Maya Angelou Schools, and Dr. Sylvia Wilson Thomas, Associate Professor of Electrical Engineering, University of South Florida. So something's going on at Black Girls Code. We will keep you updated on it as time goes on, but the founder of Black Girls Code has been relieved of her duties. She's still on the staff. I would assume if you're still on the staff, she's still getting paid, but she's no longer in charge. There will be another director in there, and they say it's due to workplace impropriety. So as more information we find out about this, we will let you know what's going on with Black Girls Code. All right, I appreciate you joining. I'm getting ready to get out of here. We've got the next show coming up, which will be B. Michael with Shifting Paradigms. Shifting Paradigms is a great show that will be starting at 6 o'clock. I didn't get to show you what I wanted to show you from this week at NASA, or from NASA, about the James Webb Telescope. So I'm going to go out and let that play right now as we're out. So we'll see you next week from 5 to 5:45 with the BFTAA and More show. And you can now check out NASA and the James Webb Telescope. Oops, I'll get it here.
This is a science mission on par with Apollo missions, Space Shuttle, International Space Station, and Hubble missions. For nearly 2 decades, thousands of people around the world, many spending their entire careers, built the James Webb Space Telescope. And it all comes down to this.
Once we launch the James Webb Space Telescope, there are no second chances. We have 300 single-point failure items, and they all have to work right. When you're 1 million miles away from the Earth, you can't send someone to fix it.
We've never put a telescope this large in space. We want to see distant parts of the universe humans have never seen before. Looking back in time, almost 14 billion years, to see the first galaxies that formed after the Big Bang. And we want to search for the building blocks of life in the atmospheres of planets orbiting distant stars. To unfold the history of the universe, we must first unfold this telescope.
This is the largest primary mirror, the largest sun shield, and the most powerful space telescope ever built. And yet, this large telescope needs to fit inside a 5.4 meter diameter rocket fairing. That's the largest fairing size available on any rocket, and it's the fairing size on our ride to space. The Ariane 5, provided by the European Space Agency, is one of the world's most powerful rockets. To cheat the fairing size limit, we built Webb to fold, like origami, to fit inside the rocket fairing.
And this brings us to our most challenging part of this mission, unfolding it in space.
This thing Got it.
Think of what you're doing. You're taking this extraordinarily delicate, precise, state-of-the-art scientific instrument, you're slapping it on a rocket, and for the next 8 minutes, the explosion from that rocket is following you into outer space. Vibrating you, shaking you. Everything that goes into outer space has to live through this environment and work once it gets there without having someone come to fix it.
That's how long it will take to fully deploy the Webb telescope. We can take longer if we need to, but those 2 weeks after launch are going to be nail-biters. This is the Mission Operations Center at the Space Telescope Science Institute in Baltimore. Those 2 weeks after launch will be like our Super Bowl, World Cup, you pick the analogy. Years of training comes down to these moments.
The Webb Observatory has 50 major deployments, 50 depending on how you categorize them, and 178 release mechanisms must work to deploy those 50 parts. Every single one of them must work. Unfolding Webb is hands down the most complicated spacecraft activity we've ever done. Then again, nothing about Webb is easy. We've never done any of this before. There's nothing simple about sending anything into space. You can't do it without taking risks.
This mission is squarely in new spacecraft territory. Webb is the perfect example of science desire driving engineering capability to new frontiers. Webb's unique design was born from reasoned engineering to accomplish its science goals.
Here's the plan. Shortly after launch, we unfold Webb's solar panel for power and our Huygens antenna for communication. About 12 hours later, we have an important engine firing that sends Webb on the proper course towards its orbital destination, about 1 million miles away. That's where Webb will do its science. Webb will be moving so fast, it passes the moon's orbit in 1.5 days, half the time it took Apollo astronauts to reach lunar orbit. First, we lower the sunshield pallet, then raise Webb's primary mirror and instruments away from the sunshield. The solar wind will push us around with the sunshield open, so we'll unfold a trim tab to help keep us stable.
We got these huge, iconic, golden segmented mirrors that will help us deliver amazing new images from the cosmos. But in some ways, the sunshield is a lot more complicated, and it's just as essential. Without it, nothing works.
Here we've got 5 sunshield layers, or approximately 8,900 square feet, almost the size of 3 tennis courts, of very thin Kapton material, about 1 to 2/1000ths of an inch thick. Making them go where you want them to go in 0G is extremely challenging.
The sunshield shades the telescope from the heat of the sun, earth, and moon. The concept is simple, but there is nothing simple about the design or operation, especially when you get to space. Webb's sunshield assembly includes 140 release mechanisms, approximately 70 hinge assemblies, 8 deployment motors, bearings, springs, gears, about 400 pulleys, and 90 cables totaling 1,312 feet. All this just to keep the sunshield under control as it unfolds. First, we release these special restraints that protect the sunshield during launch. They roll out of the way, but not all the way until we are ready to deploy a side. Next, we release a set of covers over the core region. Now comes the critical point. All 107 sunshield release mechanisms need to fire on cue. 107. They free the 5 sunshield layers, allowing them to extend as the mid-booms deploy.
Sunshield fully deployed, we start setting up the optics. First, the secondary mirror is extended and locked into place, and a special radiator behind Webb is extended, which helps further lower the temperature of the science instruments. Finally, we open the primary mirror's wings and lock them in place. that done, Webb is in its final configuration, but we're not done yet.
After 47 deployments and accomplishing the hardest spacecraft unfolding NASA has ever done, Webb still won't be ready for science.
While the instruments cool, we'll control motors behind each of Webb's 18 mirror segments, a secondary mirror, and the fine steering mirror located inside the center of the primary mirror. We'll precisely align the mirror segments to form a perfect mirror. Then, Webb will be ready to explore the cosmos